Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Coming to you almost live from the Lonely Mountain in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, it's the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 123. It's February 6th, and I'm your host, Bill. God, do I really have to watch the Hobbit trilogy again? Costello, and with me today,
all the way from the fiery calderas of Viorla, it's Joshua. I'm experiencing a case of mic drop alt.
We are having technical difficulties.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Bill's playing a prank on me because the mic setup that we had today just kept drooping, and I had to tighten, I don't know, 3 or 4 different things to stop it from hitting the table. So
look, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying.
But I will say right now that we are sturdy and we can champion forward.
I'm so glad you didn't use the other word I thought you were going to use.
That's after dark time.
Yeah, that's after dark stuff. Okay, so I need to start out with a just massive apology to the entire narrative community. As you know, I wasn't able to get to LVO. The Tuesday before LVO, we were supposed to drive out Thursday morning, but that Tuesday night, I got the word that my brother had passed away suddenly. And I basically ended up flying from Texas to Connecticut. I do have to throw a shout out to American Airlines. Those folks were absolutely amazing. In one phone call, that lady changed my ticket from a return trip from Fort Worth to Albuquerque, all of a sudden to a bereavement fare back to Connecticut, and then handled getting the wife a ticket for the next day when she could get everything squared away and get a dog sitter over here. Just super cool people, but unfortunately, I think some things went a little weird because I emailed Kicker over at Frontline Gaming to say, look, dude, I'm in Texas. I'm heading for Connecticut. I'm not going to make it to LVO. And then I told Scott Reed also. Pretty much at that point, I shut social media down because I was dealing with stuff. And evidently, it was Friday morning before Kicker realized I was not there. And I guess he hadn't read his email or what have you. There was a rumor going around that I wasn't there because Frontline Gaming wouldn't let me run that event because I wasn't an employee or something. That's all bullcrap. There was just a couple of disconnects, but they put together some stuff, and Nero Hewitt, he came through in the end and put together a narrative thing. I guess Kenny Lull did some work to make it happen on Friday, and then Nero took the rest of the ball and made something work. But I do apologize for not being there. And, you know, I never had considered the fact that I probably should have emailed the entire package of files and all that shit I had. I probably should have emailed that stuff to Scott before I left and all, just in case something like this happened. But I never even considered it. I had stuff at the printers. I had stuff getting ready. And you know, I had everything on a memory stick plus my Microsoft Surface tablet, and I had 4 backup copies. Unfortunately, I had no access to any of them from Texas. So I could have at least sent all the work and they could have made it up from there.
Well, Bill, this sounds like a very detailed narrative that you constructed in order to protect Frontline Gaming. Because obviously they did not let you. No, I'm kidding.
It's conspiracy theory.
It's a conspiracy, guys. For all you there with your tinfoil hats on, I hear you.
Yes. We should probably talk about the $64,000, 600-pound elephant gorilla in the room. And that was the announcement at LVO that Warhammer Games Workshop events worldwide have adopted the ITC as their standard format going forward.
Yep.
And that is absolutely huge. And I want to throw a huge congratulations out to Frankie and Reese over there at Frontline Gaming. I mean, they have worked tirelessly for 10 years to actually make a standardized, good tournament format for 40K going forward. And to have the GW company go ahead and say, yep, this is what we're using going forward is huge for them. And, this whole idea, I know there's detractors for ITC. I hear you. I understand. Some people say it's a money grab. I can tell you from talking to authors and what have you of ITC, they're not sitting in these luxury yachts laughing about how cool it is. Okay. They're not making money hand over fist. They need server space. They have to pay for connections. They have to pay for all of this stuff that happens. I bet you they're barely making ends meet on that, on that thing. I wonder if it's turning a profit, actually. But second of all, just people, if you put an organized play format in front of people, they're going to scream about it. Mm-hmm. Someone is going to be like, yeah, but it's not fair because,
yeah.
You know what? If it suits 95% of the people, it's a standard. I'm sorry. So just huge congrats to the Frontline Gaming crew, all the work, all the blood, sweat, and tears they've put into making events that are world-class and high quality, and it's starting to pay off, and thank God for them. Yay.
So I can't wait to see what stories come up now, because obviously now you're a shill for Frontline Gaming, and, so it's obviously you were actually employed by them. No, I'm kidding. But it's good to have a cohesive format across all things. Yeah. Just so there's always consistency. What's going to happen when you go to the tournament.
Yeah.
Right?
And this applies to AOS as well, too. I mean, the ITC is now the format. And, I've guys who are just absolutely livid about this because they, for some reason, hate ITC. They're like, I don't need some guy in California telling me how to run my game. Whereas if you actually read, you would understand that they've never, ever said, this is how you run your games. It's more, this is how we organize an event so that it fits into a worldwide scoring system so that Johnny in Sri Lanka has the exact same chance of winning the ITC as Harvey in Los Angeles. So, yay. We have a standard, and it is good.
What do you mean I have to be measured against other people equally, Bill? That's not how this works. It's America.
I want my own system that allows me to give preferential treatment to my friends.
Well, tell you what, I'm going to buy my own system and make it my way. I'll have blackjack and hookers.
Ah, yes. I'm down. The annual Age of Sigmar, 40K hookers, and narrative tournament.
Yeah. Also in Las Vegas.
Yeah. The week after, or no, at the same time.
At the same time.
Why not just be total jerks?
You want to talk about the competitive scene? These scenes are competing against each other.
Yes. The difference between an LVO event is they're all serious. At our events, we have strippers for every table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And don't worry, we provide super glue just in case your models get broken.
Yeah, the more battle points you get. Stop. This is After Dark. Okay. We'll wait on that for After Dark. Oh, my God.
I'm really tired and punchy. Sorry.
It's okay. I guess I am too. So let's go into New Dawn.
Yeah, let's do this.
Hey, we got a roadmap. It's kind of cool.
Who uses maps anymore? I just use Google.
Okay, you're right. Well, we have a Google document now that states what the roadmap is. So we now know the next 4 battle tomes for Age of Sigmar, which is actually quite a relief. I don't want to say I was, staying up late over it, but it's nice to know what's coming down the pike. We are all super shocked by the next 2, which are Fire Slayers and Idoneth Deepkin. Didn't see that coming.
No, not at all.
Not with that release of the Fury of the Deep box. No indication.
They've released crap boxes like that before, and we didn't get any updates, right? So.
Definitely going to be, I think the oldest battle tome right now out there is Idoneth Deepkin.
Yep.
So, and then Fire Slayers is kind of hot on the heels of that. They had 2 books kind of in a weird arrangement, but now they're going to get brought into 3rd edition, hopefully with some fixes to their stuff and maybe a few more units. Who knows?
I mean, can you even tell the difference between the units? If they're not on a magma drop, they might as well just be any other Fire Slayers unit.
It's so hard. Yeah. I'd like to see something with a little, visual differentiation. Although I still got to say I saw these, someone did a Ice Fire Slayers, Slayers, and that was one of the best paint jobs I've ever seen.
Well, back when I first started playing Underworlds, the warband for the Fire Slayers, I painted them as Frost Slayers. They were like super white pale with, blue mohawks and blue beards. And I think that's much cooler looking than the normal Fire Slayers paint job.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to see run-of-the-mill Fire Slayers all the time. They look, Randy has a just gorgeous Fire Slayers army. It's, beautiful when it's all together. It's just, it's a great army, and I hope to see a good book for them coming out.
Which one are the Berserkers? Which one have the guns?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Does it matter? They're just shirtless, short men. So I give hope to most of us players. Anyway. Sorry.
Nighthawk coming up, too.
Yes.
Thank God.
Big time.
I mean, not that they suffer too badly. If you know what you're doing, we'll get that into that.
We'll get to that here in a bit.
But, we've been talking. They just need, like, these little fixes in order to get to where they need to be. And I'm hoping they really just bring them into the fold. I mean, this was the first book of second edition.
Yeah.
We're here in third, and they hardly got any updates.
Yeah.
Like what? They got Reichenor's group, the Emerald Host.
They got, the Emerald Host, and then that got nerfed. So they're due for an update. And, maybe it's a look at the base mechanic of that army. Maybe the ethereal has to be changed a little bit. Like you've discussed before on the show, is it needs a base mechanic change to make them more viable. Although, who knows? We'll see when we see it, because they've been doing pretty darn good.
I mean, it's going to be a huge thing
with all the books.
If the only change they ever did was ethereal changes to you ignore negative modifiers to your save roll.
Right.
Jeez, that army becomes insane.
It becomes, chain rasp hordes become a thing of fear.
Yes.
And not just look, my tar pit.
Yeah.
I have to slug through those.
Here are my dirt cheap guys that I return 2d6 a turn with my Guardian of Souls. And they've got a 4-up invulnerable save. 4-up unrendable.
But here's the deal. You have to take the coach and make it a monster.
Yes.
And, there's just a few little things that need to be done, and it kind of becomes clear why they haven't done them, because this book has been in production. So obviously the fixes are coming soon to a game store near you, and I'm hopeful. It kind of saddens me that in order to play Nighthaunt effectively right now, you have to build a giant. You have to build Drog to really get something that hits in that army. So
hopefully it'll change. I'm excited for it.
When you look at what they've done with these other books, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And I'll be able to just blow the dust off my Nighthaunt and play. That'll be great fun. And then Daughters of Cain are getting the 18th new book. Marathi, I understand, is going to get Rend 4. There's a fascination with Daughters of Cain at Games Workshop.
Yep.
Someone high up on the food chain is a Daughters of Cain player, because this is going to be their fourth book in 2 editions, I think.
Third,
because
they had their old book, then they got a book shortly before 3rd edition.
Yeah,
which is when they released their Endless Spells.
They got a book at the beginning of 2nd, and then quite near the end of 2nd, a 1st edition book. So this is going to be the 4th.
I swear they only have 3. This will be the 3rd.
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to go look at my covers. So
I was looking at my covers because I've played Daughters of Cain since the first book, and this will be the 3rd one.
Okay.
I mean, they've gotten sups and stuff too, with Marathi's.
Well, Marathi got
Broken Realms book.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, is the Marathi book.
I mean, technically, then if they got that sup, it would count.
Yeah.
But I mean, why? Why?
I mean, there's other like I think Gloomspite could use maybe something.
I'm just saying, Gloomspite's the most fun army to play. The thing is, people look at it and you're like, they'll never be a competitive army because they're the funnest army to play.
And you need that army where it's the tilt, the skew on that army is not into super power. The skew in that army is into, oh my God, this is going to be the most fun you've had. And it's going to be a laugh, even at a tournament setting, even at a, elimination tournament setting. It's going to be fun and funny to play.
I would like to see updates that like embrace the goofiness of the mechanics to a point where it can make for very interesting plays. because the randomness currently is experienced on the side of the Gloomspite player.
Right.
But if there was a way to make it so that there's a sense of randomness that your opponent has to experience,
Yeah.
I think that would make for a very interesting play style that, like, you can never just say, oh, yeah, this is how you beat Gloomspite because it's just random.
Sure.
You know, that would make it super fun for me. We're like, we have no idea what's going to happen today. We're showing up, we're rolling dice, and
Yeah, and it's whatever happened. You know, I would love to see a counter spell kind of mechanic that they have for enemy spellcasters that just turns their spell into something that you want rather than what they casted. Okay, yeah, you cast it with an 11 tech list, or, you know, you cast it with a 12. However, it's not what you thought. It's actually, you know, wild mushroom growth.
yeah.
And now there's a big mushroom patch on the field. Well, that's not what I cast. Well, it's what you got.
What else?
Something weird like that.
And then, you know, their main mechanics, the Bad Moon,
Yeah.
right? And that doesn't do anything really the first turn.
Yeah.
It might do something the second turn. It could just disappear off the board by the third turn. You don't know.
It's,
If there is some way to make it so it has just an enduring effect.
Yes.
You know, like, we show up, the Bad Moon's here, buffs are coming, let's go.
yeah, and we're gonna pick our fights where the bad moon is. So why are we so randomly generated on that thing?
Yeah.
It's sad. Everybody else's sort of army mechanic allows them to think ahead and plan. You know, Idoneth knows, hey, you know, when I have high tide, I'm coming, and that's that. Whereas, you know, Gloomspite, like you said, when you really need it on turn 3, it could be gone.
Yeah.
And at which point it did you nothing.
I mean, I have a laundry list of things I would love for the Bad Moon to do, you know, that I'll just send the list to GW and
Yeah.
say, hey, you know, just incorporate these. Like, the ability for the Bad Moon to turn off your opponent's, their faction abilities, you know, depending on what happens.
Yeah.
That would be ridiculous. And it'd make it super fun.
Yeah, you know, you could just have this table of random, crazy, you don't get it every turn. It doesn't always happen. You don't know what's coming. You can't really plan around it, but boy, when it happens and it falls in your lap, it's awesome. Make it fun for both players.
Yeah, it could even, if you want to embrace the randomness, have a table, right? Almost like it could look like the moon. And
Yeah.
it's all the different effects of the moon.
Have it be a spinner.
Yeah. Or if you only have the spinner would be great in the book too, right? But
The game of life. Oh.
but if you wanted to do something, it could be like, you know, every turn or every battle round you roll a dice, and then, you know, if it's equal to the value of what it was already, you add 1 to it.
Yeah.
But it just randomly goes to a different effect, and have each effect do something significant, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just like, what's happening next? And you're like, dear God, don't turn off my Legion's abilities. Don't. Oh, you did.
Oh, God darn it. You. Okay.
And then
That
have
would be fun.
have a spell that you, if you cast it, then you re-roll the dice or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Just a little something to counter every other big thing out there, but it won't always come up. But those games where it does, it's going to be a memory you have forever. You remember that time I shut off Nagash for a turn? That was fun.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Yes. No,
Yeah,
it
was
really was.
funny. Yeah. Oh, man. Yes, please. All right. Anyway, so then we don't know what they are, but
Right.
we're going to get a chaos and an order book
Yep.
following those.
So obviously we have to theorize now. The Chaos book is going to be the Everchosen. I think it's going to try to put Archeon back, you know, because he's gotten nothing but nerfs lately.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not misplaced nerfs. They're actually very good. But because he no longer interacts with the other Chaos factions so well,
Yeah.
I think that Everchosen and him need to be revamped and looked at so that he becomes viable.
I want it to be Skaven, but I think the only fair option would be Blades of Corn.
It could be Khorne because they are languishing hard and they have some of the best models.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
God, they're so beautiful. You know, like you look at the sculpts for like the warriors,
Oh, man.
and then you look at the Corn berserkers in 40K,
Yeah.
and you're like, why?
Yeah, just why?
Just repack. Get that guy, right? Those guys, put a jetpack on him,
Yes.
and then stick him in the box. because they're just so beautiful.
They
like
are.
those sculpts are out of this world. Every single Blades of Corn sculpt,
is
next level.
their endless spells are, oh my god, good.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful army to play, but unfortunately, as at this point right now, they're not hot.
Yeah. How they don't have more rend. How it boggles my mind.
You know, they need a look, and who knows? For order, I'm kind of, I don't know. Cities just came out. Stormcast just came out. Seraphon have a book that's reasonably good. Where else do you go?
Kind of feel like Sylvaneth.
Hopefully. Yeah, Sylvaneth would be a good shout.
I mean, they really need to get them updated properly, I think. Bring down the points of Dryads, have them do additional things.
Yeah.
The last Sylvaneth book was great,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just, they've always been just so mediocre.
They've been on the cusp, and then usually right when they get something that's really good, it's one of two things. Either it's so onerous for your opponent that it becomes unplayable, or it's really good, and 2 weeks later it gets nerfed into AOS 1.0.
Yep.
And you're like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Why? So,
I mean, I frankly have a couple boxes of sticks that I've been wanting to play that just don't do anything anymore.
yeah, it's funny with contrast paints out now. I think Seraphon are one of the most fun and easy armies to paint. Changing up some units, maybe adding one or two more, although they did just add some units to Sylvaneth. Making a good book would probably sell a crap ton of models.
Yeah, they're easy to put together.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't when you are trying to like weave the trees together. But they're all beautiful.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, I won't talk about building them. Some of them are like spirit hosts. It's like, no, forget this. I will never build another one. I will buy them on eBay. I will not build another one of those.
And they have some of the most amazing. I mean, Alariel is gorgeous. I love Drycha's model. I painted that model twice.
Yeah, it's so good. And yeah, Alariel is she's a poster child for leg day.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Who knows? It could be, I'm just going to throw it out there, Malarian's forces, right? We could get a total new army.
I don't know. Could be. But I think with some of the older factions lagging behind, I'm not going to put myself in the marketing guy's shoes. I would hope that it's an existing army and they save the splash new army for the fall, which would be Malarian's Elves. Because, yeah.
I was saying you could get the dock update and boom, Malarian. We're using this as a segue into the new army. Or, it's something lame like Seraphon's.
Oh, you are scary with that. That would be, wow, daughters. Hey, look. Oh, and there's a whole Eldari theme this year. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm down. I agree with you now.
It is Year of Elves. I mean, we just got fish elves.
Yeah, we got fish elves.
We're getting space elves.
Space elves.
Yeah.
Spelps. Yeah, okay, I'm with you. Game over. We got it figured out. All right, so tune in.
Crack the code, guys. Right?
Put
Get
us
all
in
your
charge of
predictions here.
GW.
Yeah, exactly.
So on the recent releases, hey, 40K Tau came out.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
OMG. It's really all you can say about that book, because with the 40K balance sheet that just came out, which incidentally, we're going to go over the 40K balance sheet in the After Dark portion, so as to not spend too much time on 40K in the show. But between that balanced data slate and the Tau just being back to, I don't just shoot your face off, I shoot your face off and your grandmother's face off.
Yeah.
So, wow, are they going to be a fun army?
Yeah, most of the battle reports I've seen, if they're played well, like your opponent doesn't have an army turn 3.
Yeah.
Like they're just gone, and you just go and just do your objectives.
Yeah, you just go and grab the things that you need to. I don't know if, I'm kind of wondering if they're OP at this point, but I don't think so, because they still have that, the blender problem that once you get something into their lines, they evaporate. Until you get there, you are just eating wounds. And you have to get there. You have to have a delivery system to put stuff into their lines. I think Tau against Necron is going to be one of the most laughable matchups that you could possibly have, because the Necrons just, I don't think, have the tools to go head to head with them.
I mean, they've got some pretty hard-hitting stuff with, all the core updates, right? Like practically everything's core.
Yeah.
Except for heroes, right? And you got the heavy destroyers to handle some of the bigger tanks. But I mean, like, if Tau goes first, they're just going to delete your problem units.
Yeah, the things that could, the Doomstalkers or, the Ghost Arcs are just going to go away.
Yeah.
But if you get first, there's a big difference. If you get first and you're able to get your transports, or, heaven forbid you take the aircraft to drop things in behind them, and you get your flayed ones or something even worse back there, you're going to tear their lines up. So it's
good luck dropping anything behind Tau, because they always castle at the back to start.
Yeah.
But then, the updates, I mean, you have Devilfish down the board with Breachers coming out and just unloading in your face, pushing objectives. It's all going to be, I think, long-range Tau's always winning. The real games in the mid-board, midfield, particularly with the Knockman stuff. We'll talk about them after.
Yeah, and After Dark. The big drop now, of course, is the 40K Eldari.
Oh, yeah.
The box set went up yesterday. I saw this great meme. $199 for 16 models or something like that. They went back to the Dark Vengeance box, which was $110. Obviously, this was quite a few years ago. But the Dark Vengeance box, which was 51 models, $110. And it's just like, the disparity in what you get is crazy. But then when you really look at the pictures, most of the Dark Vengeance box was troops.
Yeah.
And so, it actually does make sense with inflation over time and what have you, but it is still kind of comical. I bought the box just because. We'll get into that in lore.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Well, don't forget there are Chaos Space Marines in that box as well.
Yes.
Not just Eldari.
True. Awesome.
The cool keychains and purity seals came out. Those are just funny little
They are so great. And, I was at the store a little early, so I was helping Andrew stock the shelves, and then we just started, to talk about life and 40K and AOS in general and all these things, and it got to be like 2 minutes to store open, and he was looking at this box going, oh, Scythe, I forgot to put all these up. So we made a mad dash to put up all the purity seals and the keychains, and of course, me, I had to buy one of each. They're so cool.
Take the keychains and retrofit them so you can make your own Pandora bracelet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think I'm going that full route yet, but I will be putting a purity seal on my backpack. That's for damn sure.
Well, when we get into our main topic, we didn't announce that, by the way.
Yeah, we didn't. You want to do it now?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Pillars of the Hobby today. And, of course, we'll go through the full thing, but, talking about, collecting, painting, socializing, assembling, playing, and the lore of the hobby. Yep. If you're a longtime listener, you may recall episode 69, nice, where Bill and Elric, Bill talked about it, and Elric was present. But we're going to go into that today, sort of a refresher. It's been almost half as many episodes.
I kind of really wanted to get your thoughts on it, and I also want to, my order of things has changed. So as years have gone by and, matured and got different. So, but a lot of this goes back to the collecting thing.
It really does. Okay. So then, we will go into the balance data sheet in After Dark, so stay tuned for that.
And we're also going to go into the 40K Imperium subscription.
Yeah.
Because that is amazeballs. If you're looking to get into 40K, just a little bit right now, if you're looking to get into 40K and you don't want to spend $800 up front to do it, this 40K Imperium sub might just be the thing. What you end up getting for what you end up paying is bonkers, just bonkers good. So if you're at all interested in the 40K thing, do that Imperium sub.
If you like bad armies.
Two bad armies. But,
yeah. All right.
It's not fair. They're good armies. They're just
So that takes us to the end of New Dawn. We're about 20 minutes out from the pre-order announcements.
Yes.
So, we'll have our breaking news coming up, so listen forward to that.
Yeah.
But I think we're ready to go into creation.
We can, because mine's going to be super easy.
Oh, yeah.
So for New Year, New Army, I started Smog. I gave him a bath Friday night. I'll tell you one thing. The gob of resin release that they use on a model that size is... I was sitting there scrubbing with a toothbrush until, Pam finally showed me she has a brush that is much, much larger and has very stiff bristles for doing this exact kind of thing. It's for doing tiles when you're making casting tiles. And it helped a lot. But, there's some fiddly bits that you don't want to use something that bad. But, man, even after the first dunk in the Dawn dish soap and hot, medium hot water, you don't want hot water, I could still feel the stickiness. And so it was like back inside, another round. So, but he's all cleaned up. He's all washed up now. And I think this afternoon will be just, starting to clean the pieces so that I can begin assembly. So, cause it's a really easy model to put together. When you look at the instructions for it, it's a very easy Forge World model. It's just everything is big and everything needs to be pinned. So it's going to take a little bit, but it's going to be fun.
Oh, I think so.
That's, one of my New Year, New Armies. I also I built and primed some more OBR for Lord Recknit's host. I'm not forgetting it either. Don't worry. But yeah, I did all the heroes, one of all the heroes, a liege and 5 ponies. So gotta try my paint scheme on one of the murder ponies, see if I like it, and then just start producing OBR for my New Year, New Army. And last but not least for me was the Seraptek heavy construct for the Necrons. I may or may not, when I was at Fort Worth, taken a side trip to the Citadel. It was funny because I went to the Citadel in Grapevine specifically to get the Necron flyers for Aeronautic Imperialist.
Yeah.
They didn't have them. So I was like, okay, no problem. I will get the Tau, what's his name? The big bodysuit there, not the Yavara, but the KX-139. I'll get that. They're out of the bodies. They have every attachment that you could possibly get. And then I was like, okay, here's the deal. I will get a Necron tomb guard. We're out of the bodies. Okay, fine. But then he showed me they did have the melee version of the Tombstalker.
Okay.
Which is, I love that model too. And honestly, if I had gotten the Tomb Sentinel, I would have built it as the Tombstalker because it's the melee version and it's a little beefier in melee. So having that kit actually on hand was nice. But then got to talking and started looking at that Seraptek Heavy Destroyer, and yeah, it's way too extravagant and it's not going to be good in a list, but it's beautiful and I just love it. So I picked it up along with the weapon options. So that it came in yesterday. Opened the box. Now remember I said Smog it doesn't have a really crap ton of parts, and it's a beautiful hunk of resin when you're done. This Seraptek Heavy Construct is just the body is 63 parts.
Jesus.
And I'm like, seriously? This is resin. You could just pour it into a mold, wait a couple of hours, and pull it out as one piece. Nope. 63 pieces. All right, whatever. So that's going to be a project for down the road because Smog's first. But that's kind of my... one other thing I did, as I threatened to do, I made paint handles. I made you one, I made Anders one, and I've got to make Troy and Clayton and some other folks one. But these are modeled after the Grim Grip. If you've ever seen those, super handy, hold anything at any angle. We're both playing with them. So we're dropping stuff. So
I thought it was just a fidget spinner that Bill gave me, but
yeah. I think you'll really like it. I think once you start using it, you'll be like, oh, this is cool.
How'd I ever live without this?
Yeah, it was that way for me. How did I not use that Grim Grip? With the Grim Grips coming in at $40 a pop, I was like, I can make those for some of my friends and they can make the determination if they want to get another one.
Yeah, no, they're really nice and just way too fun to...
Yeah.
you know.
It's the magnets, man. It's the magnets. Magnets are awesome.
How do magnets even work, Bill?
Well, it has to do with the flat Earth, see?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Moving on, what did you create?
So in MCP, we hadn't talked about that yet. Look at that. First time. Oh, man, I broke it. But anyway, I built all the Sinister Six. I've painted 5 of them.
Nice.
My wife wanted to paint Mysterio and Kingpin, but I painted up Ock, Green Goblin, Lizard, Carnage, and Venom.
Nice.
I've got Kraven on the table too, which is going to be all contrast, but at the same time, like, he's good in the game. But I'm just like, I don't like Kraven.
He's one of those weird ones. I don't like him that much either, but he has some really good abilities.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it's a hard, you know.
His superpower is like, hey, guess what? We get to roll an extra dice or something against that guy. I think that's what it does.
I do have to tell you, and this is not insider knowledge, but I've heard a rumor that Dr. Voodoo is going to get a balance update.
Interesting.
Because he is considered to be basically OP, and he's kind of like an auto-include right now. So,
in like every list.
Yeah. There's nowhere where he does not shine.
Yeah, it's your 9 plus Dr. Voodoo.
Yeah, always.
You know, and one of the 9 might be Dormammu, right? Mm-hmm. Just because you can flex in a dark dimension immediately. Yeah. And Dormammu with Dr. Voodoo is just brutal.
Sick. Yeah, it's there's disgusting. So many combos that I just don't think they looked at. Mm-hmm. And I've heard that that there may be a change coming to him.
Yeah, I mean, when I read his card, I thought he became an instant auto-include in any list, you know? And that was even when I still didn't know like that much about the competitive scene or like how all the different teams interact. I was like, why would you not play him?
Yeah, when he has abilities like he has, he functions in virtually every affiliation, and he brings something very good to it that it probably doesn't have on its own for the smaller ones. But even still, in something like Avengers, he multiplies the ability of all your guys. So, yeah.
Oh, what's absolutely ridiculous is, again, if you're going against one of those tall lists, is just, you know, like a Dormammu list, right? Like, here's Brother Daniel. By the way, Dormammu can't interact with objectives. And then you just kite him, and it's ridiculous. Anyway, sorry. But
that's MCP.
Yeah, that was MCP. So I didn't do much AOS painting. I mostly was working on my Tau. Mm-hmm. So I got 10 Tau Breachers done. I got Farsight finished this morning.
Nice.
Then I got a Cadre Fireblade done, just to make sure I had, like, you know, the basic 500 points for the Escalation League that's starting right now. Not that I didn't already have a bunch painted, because I mean, in that I've got Shadow Sun, Ghost Keel, Missile Side.
Yeah.
I haven't painted my Riptide yet. 2 Riptides, honestly. But I had like so much of everything I would need. My Ethereal. I have a Cold Star Commander that's almost done. Kim wanted to paint that one, so, you know, she's working at her paces on that. Then I've got an Enforcer Commander done, and I built 3 XV8 battle suits. I already had 3. I built a Hammerhead.
Yeah. I wonder why.
I have 2 more Hammerheads waiting to be built. And I haven't picked up a Storm Surge yet, but it's only a matter of time.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese.
We'll talk about the Trip Surge list.
Oh, God, please tell me no. Oh, my God.
But yeah, so it's mostly 40K stuff with the Tau update, which I'll be talking about more in After Dark.
Yeah. Okay. So let's slide into battle, where we're actually going to talk about the top 8 out at LVO from the AOS champs.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty incredible list. If you're not aware of it, it's if this list doesn't tell you that AOS 3.0 is really good and really balanced, then I don't know how to convince you that it's gooderest.
Yeah.
So up there in 8th place, we had Russ Tanner with his Blood Gullet Ogre Maw Tribes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Now, honestly, if you predicted this top 8, you're amazing, because there's stuff in here that just by all rights shouldn't probably be here. This is obviously a combination of really good piloting and really good thoughts about, I think a lot of people were getting ready for the dragon meta.
Yeah.
And while it ended up doing well, really well, spoiler alert, bury the lead. But a lot of these lists were kind of skew for different things. And it's just, it shows you that these new books, as well as the old books, there's an infinite number of builds.
Yeah.
You are not locked into, this is the net list that works.
Yeah.
Let's play it. So he was playing Blood Gullet instead of Boulderhead.
Mm-hmm.
And he just had really great stuff. He had Icefall Yetis in the list.
Love it.
So, yeah, awesome. Awesome to see Ogre Maw Tribes up there in the top 8. In 7th place, you had Jiwan Noah Singh's Ironjaw Auric War Clans. What's to say? Ironjaws are good.
Yeah.
And Ironjaws in the right hands are obviously really good.
Well, they're very straightforward. You know what they're going to do. They just do it so well that it's hard to not, or to stop them from doing the thing that they're going to do. So I'm happy to see them up there. Happy to see Destruction representing.
Yep. Oh, yes. And I guess the game that he lost in the first round was to the Stormcast player who finished a couple of places ahead of him by 2 points.
Oh, my God.
So it's not like he got raffle stomped in game 1. So now hold on to your seats, folks, because in 6th place, you had Nate Trentinelli with his Emerald Host Night Haunt.
I love it.
You know, the group we just said don't have a competitive play in AOS 3.0? Yeah, just drove to 6th place at LVO. So
Well, I mean, with Nagash's changes and stuff, now that he can actually go in Night Haunt, I'm stoked for that. I mean, Night Haunt has the more resilient, summonable units that can be returned, and that list just took advantage of that.
yeah, his list was pretty much Nagash, and then everything that Nagash could affect really well.
Yeah.
So he had Nagash, he had a Spirit Torment as his general. That was his 2 leaders. Guess what his grand strategy was?
What's the one where you have to kill their general?
Yeah, it wasn't hold the line. Yeah, no. No, it was probably sorcery. He was banking on Nagash surviving, which I would have to imagine he did. Then the rest of his list was 3 units of 10 Chain Rasp Hordes, 5 Hex Wraiths for some, cavalry, go out and grab objectives, and 9 Spirit Hosts, go figure.
Yeah.
Because with Nagash around, you're bringing those guys back, they're coming back, and they're hitting. They're hitting a little bit above their weight class. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you have Nagash just throwing out every spell known to death.
Yeah.
So it's a great list. And, of course, he had an Umbral Spell Portal. Go figure. That's almost a must with Nagash.
Who takes Umbral Spore Portal anymore? That's weird.
The 6th place guy at LVO does.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
The Night Haunt player takes it, so that tells you how good it is. No.
Yep, but unfortunately, none of the things that you would like to see in a Night Haunt army. No coaches, no
black coaches, not AOS coaches.
Yeah, no AOS coach. Yeah,
he's an auto include in the army.
He's an auto include.
Yeah.
So in 5th place, you had James O'Brien's Hallowed Night Stormcasts. So good to see Stormcast actually, or non-dragon Stormcast actually going out and doing really, really well. It's a good list. It's centered around Gardas, Steel Soul, and all the things that he brings to the list, along with a Knight Draconis as the general, and just basically doing Stormjet Guard, Stormjet Guard, Stormjet Guard. So when I said not dragons, I meant lots of dragons. But,
I mean, you have to be a good general to pilot a Gardas list because he ain't doing it himself.
No. Yeah. So in 4th place, and I'm going to just absolutely horrify this guy's names, but it's Mrigank, so Mrigank.
I have no idea.
Me either. And his last name is Jha. So he brought Night Excelsior Stormcast Eternals.
Excelsior.
Yeah, and the big crazy thing in his list was he kind of built it around 3 units of 3 Annihilators with the Grand Hammers.
Yeah.
And obviously, to make that work, he brought the Lord Imperatant for the 7-inch drop. He brought the Relictor as general with the Arcane Tome so that he could have Thunder Shock and Translocation. So the translocation lets him move those annihilators where they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you take that 4-inch move and you pretty much mitigate that slowness. He brought a Knight Judicator with Gryph-hounds and a Knight Incantor. For the rest of his list, he brought a unit of 3 Etherwings, a unit of 3 Etherwings, and then 6 Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows.
Who would have thought?
And who takes those? I mean, literally, who even builds that as an option?
Yeah.
Well, this guy, he does because it won for him. So, yeah, just a really great list. And you can kind of picture in your mind how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Those annihilators just come and beat your face. And then when they're done beating your face, they go up and they come down somewhere else and beat someone else in the face.
Yeah.
With both the impact hits and the charges. And he's re-rolling all of those. So he's not going to miss a charge. Mm-hmm. Very little chance of it. So, third place list was our local guy, Jeremy, with his Phoenicium Cities of Sigmar.
Way to go, Jeremy.
Yeah, way to go, dude. And congratulations on third place at LVO. So you're on the podium. Well done. A Phoenicium list. So, Phoenix Guard, Shadow Warriors, 3 Assassins.
I love it.
So, yeah, just really neat list. Anointed on Frostheart Phoenix as your general. So he's played this list a lot. It's a beautifully painted army. It is a really gorgeous army. I think I played against this list once, or this army once, and lost, of course. But yeah,
Frostheart
great.
Phoenix, man, that's such a good unit.
Yeah,
it's so good.
And just having that mobile aura it's so clutch. And then when you do get that thing stuck in, it's going to give as good as it gets.
Yeah.
So next up, second place was Livon Sichinava's Soulblight Gravelords. Kind of didn't expect to see Soulblight this high up in the rankings, but there they are. He had Gorslav the Gravekeeper, a Necromancer, a Vampire Lord as General, a Vengorian Lord, and then 60 Deadwalker Zombies, 60 Deadwalker Zombies, 10 Death Rattle Skeletons. Yeah, have fun moving those 60 bodies.
This was the meme list I was essentially talking about when Soulblight first came out, before Gorslav was actually allowed to be taken by himself. And then once they announced that, I was like, that might be a thing again. And boom, this guy took it all the way up, because Gorslav near 62 bricks of 60 zombies is really hard to get through.
Yeah, and then he's also got the corpse card. So,
I mean, yeah.
So it's going to be a thing, and he made it a thing. So, and then ultimately at the top, you had Gavin Gregor with his Cities of Sigmar list. Kind of expected to see this. Dorelia Van Denst is in there, a sorceress, just straight up sorceress as general. And then you had a Free Guild general. And then his battle line was a block of 30 Free Guild crossbowmen, 10 Dread Spears, and 10 Free Guild crossbowmen. So the punch from this army came from the 4 Dracothian Guard Fulminators.
Yep.
And 4 Stormdrake Guards. So a kind of a different look at a dragon list from the previous dragon list.
It's also in living cities, so you get to bring them off the side of the board, or bring them on the side of the board.
Yep.
Position where you need them to. I like seeing the crossbowmen.
Oh, yeah.
Just haven't seen too much of those.
Yep.
And I think that it's a solid list all around. Fulminators and Stormdrake Guard do what they do.
Yes. And do it well.
Yeah. There's no getting around it.
Nope.
Yeah, so I really like how this is completely different from anything we've seen before. We don't see Tzeentch. We don't see Suns. We don't see Legion of the First Prince. No Seraphon.
No Lumineth.
No Lumineth.
That, to me, if you'd have said how high up will Lumineth place, I would have said they'll be in the top 5 minimum.
Yeah.
Instead, you have 2 Stormcast in the top 5 and no Lumineth. That shocked me to no end. I can kind of almost see no Seraphon. They are languishing a little bit, I think, in this very new, but they will get sorted out.
Yeah.
So, but to see no Daughters of Cain, they obviously need a new book because they're underpowered.
Totally underpowered.
And
if they're not even top 8 at LVO, why even play them?
With the recent changes, you're not going to see Tzeentch because Tzeentch without Archaeon just auto-deleting units is, I don't believe they have the oomph to get to the top tables. at this moment because so many people are just used to taking that crutch of Archeon.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that was the top 8 at LVO. The only duplicated list was Stormcast. So,
Yeah.
it's a pretty good mix. I mean, you saw Night Hunt, Iron Jaws, Ogre Maw Tribes up there at the top 8. That's awesome. You can't.
And Oops All Zombies, so.
Wow. Yeah, totally.
Oops All Zombies all day. I love it. I love it. So I think that it shows that 3rd edition is really flexing really well. You don't have to be stuck in a particular build. I mean, yes, there are things that are going to be powerful, but then you're going to have answers for it.
Yeah.
So, if you've got a favorite army, just play it. Don't be afraid of it. You'll find a way, right? And enough practice, you'll be able to win.
I think that's the biggest thing is these are SKU lists in a big way. A lot of them were SKU lists, but a lot of them were also carefully thought out to handle what was expected to be the meta. And by that token, they became good all-arounder lists. So good to see. Very good to see. All right, we're going to take a quick break and come back with what would be, will probably be the 11 o'clock releases and then our lore section. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Make sure you join us tonight for the news at 11.
Okay, Sunday pre-orders. Yay!
Yay for Warcry.
Yeah, huzzah for Warcry.
Yeah, so we get the Tome of Champions 2021. A little late, I guess. But, the Tome of Champions coming out.
It's going to have points updates, new fated quests, narrative campaigns, branching quests, and a tournament pack.
It's also going to have the Underworlds characters from all the different, war bands that you can bring in, which is great.
Super great.
And the boxes they'll be releasing for Warcry are value.
They're going to be a little over the top.
So you have your Thunderstrike, Stormcast Eternals box, which looks like 5 Vindictors and 3 Annihilators. Don't mind that too much.
That's not just Warcry. That's awesome box.
That's a great
period.
Box. Then you got a box for the Daughters of Cain. That's a pack of snakes and a pack of witch elves. Not bad.
5 snakes and 10 witch elves?
Yep.
Not bad.
The Illumineth one's quite a mix of things. So I see dudes with hammers, I see wardens, and I see sentinels.
Yeah, warden, sentinels, and then the what's his name? The guard. I forgot what their name is. That's going to be a good little mix. That's a great little starter for Lumineth.
Oh yeah, that plus a hero.
Yeah, you're in. Make sure it's
the
a
new
box.
Getting Started boxes, guys.
Yeah, kind of.
The Slanesh is going to be a box of the bows and a box of the Myrmidons is what it looks like.
Yep.
So not too shabby.
Not at all.
The Cruel Boys, you get a box of Gut Rippers and a box of the Beast Skewers. Not Beast Skewers, Man-Skewer Bolt Boys.
Man-Skewer Bolt.
Yeah, I mean, solid all around. Last time they did something like this, it was a very limited run.
Yeah.
And so they were insane value. So if you want to get these boxes, make sure you pre-order or you buy day of.
Right.
Because they're going to probably be limited run.
I would imagine so, because, last time it was hard to find.
Oh, yeah.
Afterwards. So for 40K, this is awesome. They're going to release all the old Tau ethereal models as made to order. So if you don't like that relatively standard stock ethereal pose, some of the ones in this group of 4 are just gorgeous, and you will have a nice variety of these. So nice little shout out for Tau. Middle Earth.
More made to order.
Yep. Well, okay, so Moria Goblins, Easterling Warriors Warband. For the Forces of Good, Lorien Elf Archers. That's very nice. Galadriel.
Halder's Elves with swords.
Yep. The Galadriel model, I think, it's seriously one of the coolest model. For me, aesthetic-wise, I love that model. It's kind of the look from her from the dream sequence where she's like the Dark Queen. Oh, I just love it. With, she's actually got the armor. It's not just all the flowy robes. It's, she's wearing a breastplate and she's ready to go muck up Sauron. So, yeah.
She did that pretty good at one point.
Yeah. She's good at that sort of thing.
Your Captain of Dale as well.
Yep.
Necromunda. Oh, boy.
Just junk. Just terrain junk.
106 pieces of terrain and accessories in one box. That thing looks insane.
You know, it looks like they're almost combining those old boxes into one big, oh my God, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, what you can make with that's absurd. I mean, it's definitely getting Stronghold and the other Sector Mortalis terrain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, a full set of Sector Mortalis, because you got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 towers. So yeah, I mean, this is if you're hurting for Necromunda terrain or just any kind of, you know, this box would be great for D&D, for
40K, for Kill Team.
Yeah, Kill Team, you name it. Any game that you play, be it role-playing games, Soulbound, this is great stuff.
Yeah.
And that box, if it comes in at even a reasonably priced level, it's going to be worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
So it's not just for Necromunda anymore.
Next is Aeronautic Imperialist. That's for losers, so we'll skip it.
Hey, hold on a second here. Doom Scythe and Night Shroud, those models are Forge World, which is truly unfortunate because the Doom Scythe is currently unavailable on the site, so it made me sad. But now you're getting some Eldar updates. You get the Vampire Hunter, and what's the other one? No, it's the Vampire Hunter. Sorry. So just
Vampire Raider and Vampire Hunter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for the Doom Scythe, I mean, why don't you just get like a 3-day-old croissant, spray it with some paint, and stick it on one of the bases?
Okay. All right. That's just enough. They are announcing White Dwarf number 473. So it looks like it's going to focus on, it's got a 40K Grand Tournament battle report, so it's probably going to be something from LVO. New rules for Beast of Chaos. So, hey, maybe a Beast of Chaos update. Which
that could be the Chaos Battle Tome.
Oh, hey, I never even thought of that. They
Talk
could
about
use a lot of love.
Oh, yeah.
So, big time, yeah.
I would love to see a Beast of Chaos release. They are one of the coolest armies thematically and like story-wise.
Yeah.
Just gets into that, you know, almost grim dark aspect of it. Anyway, yeah. So, knock on wood now.
Yeah, definitely. And then in the miscellaneous section, you got some key rings, an Aquila, a Purity Seal, and a Space Marine helmet, and then a pin badge for Sigmar. Yeah.
I will say those key rings are not as good as the ones that were released today or yesterday.
No, I don't think so. Yesterday releases were, I think, much better.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Heyo, look, Bill, Tau skin tones in the masterclass this week.
Oh, very nice, very nice. I've always. Honestly, I struggle with Tau skin tones right up until Contrast came out. Yeah. And Contrast just made it so bonkers easy. But I'd like to see, I finally caught up with almost all of the master classes now. And I still have to watch the one on bottles because that's something I've always wanted to learn how to do well, is those bottles. So I'm hoping to get something out of that. But yeah, having Aiden as well as Luis doing the master classes now is, you know, Aiden is a world-class painter. I mean, wow, is he? Whew, man's good.
Yeah, so that looks like when it's coming out this week. So nothing quite yet on the Eldari release or Chaos Space Marines. I'm sure that's coming up. So just hang tight, all you space elf lovers and worshippers of chaos. The time will come.
Yes, hopefully before your craft world blows up. So, I'm just saying. Bad things are happening.
Right? All right, so I think that does it for the 11 o'clock update.
Yep, we'll be back with lore. Okay, so now it's time for our lore segment. And as we alluded to earlier, this is kind of a rehash from episode 69.
Nice.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to do this again. Obviously, because Josh is here and want to get his thoughts on these things, but also because things have changed over time. And there's a change in priorities to be talked about here as well, as I smack the microphone with my paper. So for those of you that don't know, the pillars of the hobby are basically this. It's playing, painting, assembling, socializing, collecting, and lore. Now, playing is broken down at either Garage Hammer, tournaments, list hammering, all those different things that go into playing the game that isn't any of the other items. So whether you're just playing with a couple of friends in a local group, or you're hitting the tournament scene as, you hit every tournament out there. Painting is quite literally painting models after they're assembled, trying new things, or just tabletopping the crap out of one new army every 2 months. Whatever painting means to you, that's the painting side.
Yeah.
Assembling, of course, is the building of the models, the conversions, the dioramas that some people are doing. Did you see John Waters' his Army on Parade board?
Yeah, he's 3D printing so many things to make this essential castle for the Stormcast.
Yeah, he wants to lock that assembly pillar up. Good for him. Of course, the socializing aspect pillar, if you will, is it doesn't have to be just going to conventions and socializing there. It's hanging out at the game store. It's podcasting. It's having a YouTube channel. It's sharing your enjoyment of the hobby with other folks, in a social setting, any kind of social setting.
Oh, yeah.
Near and dear to my heart is collecting, which is quite literally just buy everything. It's either collecting everything that comes out or very specific types of models that appeal to you or whatever. But there is a collector portion of this hobby, as you might know I'm a little bit into.
Just a little bit.
A little.
A little bit.
And then you have the lore section, which is quite literally what drags a lot of people into this hobby is the lore, the breadth of lore that's out there. And this is what separates 40K and AOS, I think, from every other manufacturer's game, is nobody can touch this lore.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've already done it. So do you want to go over your rankings and why?
Yeah, sure. Now this ranking's pretty loose because there are times where some of them might shift up or down depending on, my mood or how frustrated I am with a paint job, or if I'm trying to slog through Indomitus and I can't stand it, lore might drop to the bottom. But so my ranking first and foremost is the socializing aspect. So I think I talked a little bit about this when I was introducing myself. When I first came to the hobby, I had no idea about it. I knew nothing about the lore. I didn't know how the models were put together. The last kind of models I put together were probably like Connects or like Legos, And those are just like, you just snap pieces and they're bricky looking, Didn't have anything to do with plastic or gluing crap, Well, there are times I did glue some Legos. That was funny. But anyway. So I went there because Anders is my friend.
Yeah.
And, through that, there's been a lot of cool folks that come through and you get to meet so many different types of people who are in this hobby, Like me, I was in law school, when I first, started in the hobby. I think it was actually the store opened the spring semester I graduated.
Wow.
So that was cool. And then I started I'm a lawyer. Then, Bill, you work in, IT engineering type stuff. We got Clayton, who's a cop.
Yep.
He was just a beat cop when he first started. Now he's a detective.
He was a uniform guy.
Right? We got kids in high school. We got, stay-at-home moms who are into it. There's just so many different types of people who are there. And it's interesting all coming together over this. And I just love that part of it, talking to people. It's my way to get out of the house without having to go too far.
It's a even though it's more expensive than going out to a bar, it's a far better alternative.
True.
Although, you could probably save more money at the bar.
Maybe. I mean, I think it's cheaper to just go buy things and drink alone. No, just kidding. I don't know. But yeah, that to me is super fun. I like that part of it, talking about things, having ideas, oh man, this army, check it out, right? And then I love to share that stuff with people, the playing aspect. I like the socializing aspect of it a lot. So that just sort of trickles down through so much of the rest of it for me that I don't think that'll ever not be number one.
I hear
for
you.
Me.
I tell you, it's one of the reasons why it was so awesome to have you agree to come on to the show, is because your exuberance, your excitement about the hobby, it shows every time you're at the store. You're always engaging somebody about something in a meaningful way, not just, neck bearding,
Yeah.
Well, actually, they don't look like that. So, yeah, I mean, that's when that was awesome when you decided to join up. Somebody to talk to. Anyway, go on.
I mean, if you want to, I can go full Elric and just sit here and make
Just
snarky comments, like
react to whatever I say.
how we had a couple doom sites for breakfast.
We did. We had croissants.
Yeah, we did. And they were wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, socializing goes through all of it. The collecting aspect, that's probably where like the little kid in me always like creeps in, where I'm just like super stoked that something's coming out. Like when I first started, I was just like, everything's new and I want everything. You know? Now, as I've been in for a while, I'm kind of settling down in the sense of like, I really just don't like that.
Yep.
Like I still kind of want to buy it just because it's a thing to have, but well, heck, I could just go put more money into an army that I already have, right? But collecting in the sense of also getting all the cool different sculpts of the models, right? Because I've got 2 different Shadow Suns. I have the old school tiny 25 mil one.
Oh my God.
Compared to her new one, you're like, really?
Oh yeah.
That was a thing?
That old Shadow Sun was so, when you look at the new one, you're just like, wow.
Well, in comparison, looking at that old Shadow Sun to the Farsight.
Yeah.
And you look at the Farsight, it's crap. I hate the freaking resin. Ugh.
Okay.
Not so fine cast. But like in comparison, you'd be like, wow, that Farsight's so much cooler than that Shadow Sun. Hopefully, knock on wood, we get that army every now and then. We get a plastic Farsight.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's right.
And I'll collect that.
Yep.
I really like the assembling part of things. I have a lot of fun with that. Like that was when I was young, aside from video games, I played with a lot of Legos. And I would always, get a new Lego kit and I'd build it, like the instruction said. Then I would flip it over and it would always have the different ways you could build it. Like, oh, here's a new interesting thing for your time cruiser's boat,
yes. Yep.
And I would immediately try to make whatever was on the back, right? So I was putting it together, taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart. I don't take things apart in Warhammer so much. Sometimes I might look at an old model that maybe my dog chewed up and be like, I'm going to use that on a base and I'll clip it off. But
yeah.
I love putting them together. I have fun with that. Kit bashing. Posing things is so fun.
Yes.
Wendy was doing a great job yesterday showing me some of her work where like her custody she's putting together. She's just like, well, when I was looking at it, I think it needed to do this. And so she would find some way to make it do the thing she was talking about, right? Like one of the ones has like his cape kind of flowing to the left. And she's like, it doesn't make sense to me that he would just be standing flat-footed, but if he's stepping up onto this rock that I put under
now
there.
It would.
So that stuff, in my own right has been super fun. And then playing. Again, this goes to the socializing aspect.
Yep.
I love having that interaction. I like the competitive sense of things, But I always use it to be more of like an engagement type of thing, right? And have fun moments, I guess if you look at my psychographic profiles where I'd fall. But I like having those big moments, because it's just like it's a fun interaction. Aside from just being a I'm trying to win situation, I did play Magic a lot. So
yeah,
I still have that in me, but that's pretty fun. The painting, I enjoy painting, but, big but, I get tired of it.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I just want this to be done already, right? So I'll put an entire army together in one go. But painting, I'm like, dear God, do I have to? That's why I like contrast a lot,
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I'll whip out my stuff real quick unless I want to spend time.
Such a change. Oh.
But I found actually as I kept working on the various techniques, I'm getting a lot faster with them. So Farsight, I think I put like 3 hours into, and it was just efficient.
Yeah.
Right? Because I knew exactly what I was going to do.
That's always, as you get to know more and more and things click a little bit more. And of course, the muscle memory helps too, is it just becomes so much more fun.
Yep. Like before I dreaded edge highlighting, right?
Oh.
But my Tau, how I paint them is that it's the Autal color scheme. So it's mostly black with some bright green in very certain places. And so all of that black, I'm not just going to leave it black. I think just a dry brush doesn't look good because the models are so small, it's going to clog up the detail.
Yep.
So then literally edge highlighting all these little panels, with Dark Reaper and then Thunderhawk, just so that way they actually have some depth. But now I'm getting faster, just whip.
Yeah.
And it's all about having the right, paint brushes and everything. So it's been really enjoyable. And then my last one is lore, and again, all these are really close together.
Yep.
But I love the lore and how it lets me socialize with people.
Yes.
Right? I enjoy it myself. It's not like I read. Like, I just recently finished Farsight Crisis of Faith.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as I finished it, I was trying to talk to people about it. It wasn't one of those things where I read it, I'm like, oh, that was nice.
Have you heard the good word of Farsight today?
When I say for the greater good, I don't mean what the Watercast is trying to say. I follow Farsight, a true leader.
You're a Tao Scientologist. Good Lord.
No, but I'll bring my e-meters in later so that way we can figure out where you're at, Bill.
Wow, you need another storm strike. Ooh.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Damn. Oh, Lord.
You're a little too Gavesa right now, so we need to. So the lore is so fun in how it brings us together. Like, it's cool, like, hearing the story and seeing all that, but I always felt that stories are meant to be told.
Yeah.
And that's something that goes into the infancy of our species, is that we communicated these stories to each other, words, pictographs, those kinds of things help us record it, but expressing the story to others and finding interest in the same way that others do.
Yes.
Or
common ground.
Yeah, exactly. Perhaps they can relate something to you didn't know about in terms of lore and story things, which is super fun. So like it's always going to come back to the socializing aspect for me, even though I'm socializing with a bunch of nerds. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But it's Warhammer brings all kinds in, and it helps us expand a lot of skills and tool sets that we maybe didn't think we had, right? So we get the community aspect. We get to enjoy these podcasts, the YouTube videos. We get to actually enjoy doing something physical with our hands, expressing ourselves through art, Yep. But at the end of the day, Warhammer is meant to be a community type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not painting my models so no one will see them.
Right.
I'm painting them so someone will see them, and I'll get to play with them and put them on the board, and then you get to have an experience with another human being, So that's where I come in on the pillars.
Cool. All right. My turn. So I have changed up my order from the last time, and I'll try to go over the whys and the wherefores. But still, number one for me is collecting. And, I have told this anecdotal story so many times, and it's probably longtime listeners are going to get bored. But, when I first started in the 90s with this hobby, I was living in Germany on a shoestring, if it could even be called that. But still going to game stores and buying models. And I had a friend of mine who was, at the time I was an E3, and then I became an E4 over there. I also became an E5 over there, but at the time I was an E3, so I didn't have, a lot of money. And but he was a chief. He was a chief master, and he was an E9. He had more money than God. And because he was interested in having someone to play, he would just buy boxes for me to assemble and play with.
That's so
cool. Yeah,
That's cool.
It was one of those things, and he kind of formulated my whole idea of how to do things going forward. And, I do have a shed full of Warhammer stuff, but I like to think I am relatively free about, if someone needs something, they can always come to me and ask for it, and I will make sure they get it. So because of that, these people that helped me along the way, and, I remember back then, there was so many cool things coming out just like there are now, but I just simply could not afford them.
Yeah.
And that so many things I missed out on that I swore I would never let that happen again. So that's why I collect everything, especially the esoterica, the pins, the badges. When they came out with the Sabbath Crusade pins, I was like, oh my God, I've been reading those books since hell for 20 years. And now I get to have the toys that go with it. A big change for me is painting jumped up to my number 2 slot.
Oh.
And I want to say a lot of it is because of contrast paint, but a lot of it is because I changed my mindset about who I was painting for.
Yeah.
I realized that, I was always trying to paint to impress people at the store, people at the game group, people somewhere else. And I never felt like I would stand up or live up to that. And they would just laugh at it instead. And then all of a sudden I realized, no, I'm painting for me.
Yes.
I don't really care what you think. I'm going to put an army on the table that is going to be painted. And when you play against it, you're going to be like, okay, that looks awesome. It doesn't have to be, hey, this is Vince Venturella. This is Martin Orlando's army. And so every single piece is Golden Demon quality. No, you're not getting that. But by God, I found out it's a lot of fun to just rip through 10 Mortek Guard, 20 Mortek Guard, when I'm not sitting there trying to make it to where I have a standard that I don't even really want to live up to. So all of a sudden, painting became a hell of a lot more enjoyable for me, especially like in Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's a side hustle. That is not my game. That is not my main game. I'm going to paint that stuff just enough to get it on the table and have fun with it. And it sort of frees the mind once you do that. Then I moved socializing up a spot, mostly because, you know, look at us. We're in a room on a Sunday morning with microphones in front of our faces to put our opinions out there on the internet and see who buys off on it. And the idea that some people actually listen is mind-boggling. So it's humbling, but it's also a great way of saying anybody can do this. Mm-hmm. If a dork like me can actually have opinions that people tune into week after week, anybody has opinions that are valid. And just the ability, now that we have a Warhammer store in town and seeing all the different people that are in there and seeing all those different attitudes, values, and beliefs, if you will, and seeing what they bring to the community, it's just so much fun to get involved. And there's nobody at that store that I wouldn't engage in a conversation with. You know, there's nobody there that's repulsive. Next up for me is assembling, just basically because, oh my God, assembling is such a drudge. And I swear to God, you know, I laugh sometimes because I look at these conversions. I look at some of the stuff that you guys do, and I'm like, I should actually look at, you know, something more than just a head swap or, you know, what have you. But then I get the box in front of me and it's like, you follow the steps. Step 1 says glue this. Step 2 says do this. And I can't bring myself to vary from that. So yeah, maybe it's the old conservative in me. I don't know. I just, you know, when it comes to the mooks, when it comes to the troops, I just want to get them built and out there on the table. Nowadays, lately, I've started to modify some of my leaders a little bit more, and I'm willing to, you know, I like to go out to Pop Goes the Monkey and grab all the different cool extra pieces and, you know, but I'm not really big on doing real conversions, you know, like the giants that Anders has done that are just off the hook amazing. I don't think I'm there yet. I don't know if I'll ever get there.
I'd say that, you know, it'd be cool for leaders and big models, you know, but I feel you on the troops. It's just, this is, you know, 60 more tech guard.
Yeah. Mooks are mooks, you know, and just let them be mooks. I enjoy the process of assembly. It's sitting down and looking at, you know, I built a whole bunch of OBR and I'm looking at that box of OBR going, I have a lot more to build.
Yeah, you do.
And I am not looking forward to some of it, but oh well, got to get it done. Then of course comes playing, which is odd that I have playing at number 5 because I really enjoy playing the games. A long time ago, I came to the realization that I'm not good at these games, but I do try to make sure I at least have a decent game for my opponent to enjoy. I try not to be just a complete loser, but the enjoyment from playing the game usually comes from all of the things that went into getting to that point for me. You know, it's getting everything together, building, painting, putting a list together that I think might work. And I will use some net listing here and there. You know, like my OBR list comes from Brandon, you know, up there at Cubic Shenanigans, mostly because he helped me out with, you know, if you want to do this, if you want to enjoy it that way, here's a good list. Okay, that's what I will build because he are a lot smarter than me. That I don't mind doing that, but I would much rather. I also really enjoy just putting together crappy lists that are units that I want to play.
Yeah,
they're things I want to use. And now in the new AOS and in the new 40K, there's a lot less units that are just loser units. Everybody has a place, and you can make a list that makes what you want to play fun.
It's true.
For me, playing is jumping between number 2 and number 5 all the time. So lore, this is where I really had a hard time, because I put lore in 6th, and lore used to be my number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I dropped it to number 6. And honestly, it's not because I don't enjoy reading the books anymore or listening, the audio books, because they're, in a lot of ways, they're very, very good. It's just that I've gotten to a point to where, other than like when Guilliman came back, there's no new horizons out there. There's no crazy, amazing things happening. It's a lot more of the same. When you start reading the Siege of Terra, we know how it's going to end. I don't mean each one of those books has been phenomenal, but to me, I'd rather listen to a podcast. I would rather listen to some YouTube while I'm painting and all that stuff, because it's more topical. It's more, in the moment. And I find that I'm not reading as much of the lore. I haven't read a physical 40K or AOS book in ages. And honestly, I find a lot of the lore from the battle tomes to be more engaging than some of the later books. I think the last book I thought that was really amazing was First Mark.
Huh. Okay.
So, other than when they started coming out with Marathi and Be'lakor and all those books, that lore was so, they were moving the story.
Yeah.
It was a page turner. It was like, oh my God, this is happening. And there needs to be more of that. Mm-hmm. So for me to get really super re-engaged on the lore, I'm not saying that these books aren't good. The ones that are coming out are just as good as any books that are out there. It's just that I don't find myself taking the time to go back to them like I used to.
I completely understand. I think we're doing like book of the month at the store.
Yeah.
And went through Dominion, and like there's some parts of that book that were very entertaining.
Yep.
It's not as bad as Indomitus, but like I was telling Anders, there's some really cool moments, but like Cruel Boys only showed up a little bit later, and even then it was just ha ha ha, we're evil orcs, and orcs. Sorry.
It's kind of, like we made that comment earlier. Indomitus is a book that had to be written because the box was coming out. Same thing with Dominion. It had to be written because the box was coming out. I want to shout out to Double Eagle. It's a book about Aeronautic Imperialist. That book stands by itself, has nothing to do with the game. And it's an amazingly good book. But again, it goes to what I like about the 40K world, which is where they dive down more into the personal level than the grand strategy level. So, there's really good stuff coming out. It's just not hitting it for me.
Yeah, but back to the battle tome stuff, there's so much in the books. It feels like they're stretching it out to get something, word count, page count, whatever it is, know. But when they're in the battle tomes, or the codices, it's the down and dirty, here's what you need to know.
Yep.
And there's no fluff to the fluff, right?
Yeah, it's more cut and dried, and it's the meat.
Yeah.
There's no fat.
Yeah, it's what you really, really want to know.
Yep.
Right? Unless you really like fat over meat, then it's the fat and not the meat.
Well,
right?
You should probably be playing Maw Tribes.
A little drop of the red stuff. Yeah, lore's interesting, man. It's definitely one of those ones that, in terms of the list, I feel like fluctuates the most. Because, you'll get one of those books, God, when I first started, we were, so into the Broken Realms. It was just, give me more. And it's been a dry spell recently, particularly for AOS.
Yeah.
I really want to see where things move. And I think there needs to be more. Dominion was supposed to be sort of the start of the story moving forward in terms of books, and they just haven't come out with the sequels or anything.
I just haven't seen it go forward. And that's kind of, again, if you had asked me to do this list when, what's his name? One of the Siege of Terra novels had just come out, it would be completely different, because those books are, again, like I said, we know where it's going to end, but each one of those books is so good. Oh my Lord, the stories in there are just over the top. Speaking of which, should we talk about our contest we're going to do, which isn't a contest?
Yeah, no, it's not a contest. So we were fortunate enough to get some books donated from the local store, including 2 copies of Saturnine in hardback. Right.
Yep.
We also got the Sabbat War and Trader Rock. We've got a Necromunda novella.
Yep.
And then Lady of Sorrows from Age of Sigmar. And so we've grouped them into 2 stacks.
2 stacks. Each one has a copy of Saturnine hardback.
Yep. And only one of them has the AOS book. Hey. So our Patreon members, before the next show, we're going to go ahead and put everyone's name in a pool and take 2 random names out. And
2 random names, and
we'll contact you, and you'll be proud owners of some novels.
you'll be getting some books.
Yeah.
And Saturnine is a really good book. That one's a really... all the Siege of Terra books are really, really good. And you'll enjoy it. And I have to say, I have not read the Minska Lisk series, the Trader Rock, but I have heard from a lot of people that I trust that it's really, really good. And she's a nice new addition to the Astra Militarum lore. So I'm really looking forward to... I have it on my Audible. It's in my queue.
Yeah.
So it's definitely... That one's going to be fun. And, of course, the Sabbat War, hey, it's gaunt. It's gone. So somebody's going to get a stack of books for nada for giving me your address.
Yeah. The Minkalesque series, I read her first book, was Acadian Honor. Might be the first book.
Yeah.
I've got Cadia Stands. I don't have Trader Rock. She's really interesting. I really like her character. In fact, did you watch the Cadia Stands Hammer and Bolter?
Not yet.
Oh, man.
I know.
Yeah. No, there's a character in there that kind of made me think of her.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Dude, you haven't watched that yet?
No, it's like I said, I'm still catching up on a lot of the Warhammer TV stuff.
Oh, my God, dude.
Yeah. I just got done with the master classes. Now I'm going through Lore Master because, Wade.
Yeah.
And then I'll be hitting all the Hammer Bolter stuff.
What have you watched in Hammer and Bolter?
Honestly, next to nothing that I can recall. I saw some of the ones that, when it first came out. And I probably stopped after about the 4th or 5th. So
Did you see the Eldar episode?
not yet. No, I did. Yeah, no, I saw the
Okay,
Eldar
I was
one.
going to say. If you haven't seen that yet, you might become an Eldar player.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Dude, I was on the border of just like, oh man, it's a little emo, but
Yeah.
it was super good. It was so good.
I need to show you my metal warp spiders.
The Sisters of Battle one,
Oh,
dude.
I've heard so many good things.
Oh man.
Oh.
But Cadia Stands will blow your mind.
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't watched the Necron one yet. But I mean, see, look,
I will.
this is fun. We're socializing about the lore.
And
you
that's
know?
what I'm saying. Is these are part of the pillars, and kind of our question to you is, where do y'all fall on these ideas of collecting, painting, socializing, assembling, playing, and the lore? Where do you all think? How did it affect you? Drop it in our Discord.
Yeah. Comment on the Facebook. Just let us know what your thoughts are. We like it in the Discord because there's like pretty healthy discussion.
Yep.
Granted, Bill and I have been otherwise indisposed, so we've been jumping on when we can.
Yep. I've been getting back in the last couple of days. So
Yeah, and I was so stoked to see around LVO time seeing Doug from 2 Plus Tough and AOS Coach jumping on the Discord.
Yep.
So I'm hoping to chat with them a little bit more. So
yepper. Hells yeah. So shall we wrap it up and move on to the After Dark?
I think so. So I think all the pillars are there for a reason. I don't think you can really have much of the hobby without some of the pillars being there. So really excited to hear what you all have to think about it. And then share your thoughts. If there's something we didn't even think about, we'll give you a shout out on the show.
Heck yeah.
But for all those who are, subscribed, we're going to see you after dark.
That's right. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can reach us at our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/rollingbadpodcast, all one word. Our Patreon page is at www.patreon.com/rollingbadpodcast, again, all one word. The Twitter account for the show is at rolling_bad. Our individual Twitters are, for me, at Bill Castello, BILLCASTELLO. And for Josh, you can reach him at Anoyo, ANOYOE. All the guests on the show will have their contact information in that show's show notes. The music in the show is used courtesy of Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com and is used under the Creative Commons license. The Rolling Bad podcast itself is protected under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. Information for this license can be found at creativecommons.org.